Scorpio. He deconstructs tropes from the spy genre. Hank Scorpio. You surely know that Simpsons episode, right? You only
I do know that Simpsons episode. I didn't know they had a song. Is it Gold member? Is it like Goldfinger?
I don't know if it is actually Eartha Kitt singing, but it's someone doing an Eartha Kitt. If not that, over the credits of that episode, they do a full workup parody of. It is not to the exact tune of Goldfinger, but yeah, they do a James Bond song.
Is that the one where he has like a flamethrower at one point?
Right. But the joke in the song, and the episode a bit, but the song lyrics really crystallize. It's like, and he gives you 3 weeks paid vacation each year, Hank Scorpio. The joke is he's a good boss. That's all the song focuses on. Yeah.
But it turns out he's not a good boss.
Well, no, he is a good boss. He's also willing to murder anyone to take over the world. But if you're on his side,
that's a good character.
He's good to his henchmen. That's the joke. Nicer than Mr. Burns would ever be this to now. Them. Yeah.
Mike Scorpio.
Who we think? Marge gets a drinking problem, I think. No, well, that's Hank Scorpio. Hey, let's switch gears and thank our patron.
Mm-hmm.
That always trips me up.
I always use it incorrectly because I was like, come along, Patreons.
Right, because it's
like, but we have a Patreon.
It sucks. I'm going to go on record. I don't think we've said this publicly outside social media, but Patreon sucks. And I want to start saying this robustly, not that Patreon sucks, but that if you're doing anything through the Apple app, including purchasing anything from our collections tab or our store, or even subscribing as a patron through the Apple app, it costs you more, and they're just about to crank up the price. Patron announced well, we couldn't negotiate with Apple. They said no, and they're forcing it. So do everything through your browser if you want cheapness.
I don't have Apple, so.
Okay. But if you have money to spare, then like our fabulous patron, let's just call him a bean, like our little baby bean, Mike Scorpio, who we thank heartily. You too can pick the flick that we watch here on Frame Rate, the show where we rate frames.
Woo!
Just Abe and Mike today. You're 2/3
no
of your
guess.
big bean salad. Yeah.
Raw dog in it.
Let's think of it as a kind of, you know what it is. Man, if my thoughts are scattered at the top here, and I hope you guys can't hear it, but it's because my baby just unlocked the ability to throw full tantrums and is tantruming in the room next to me. Difficult to focus.
You're welcome.
Abe, can you tell them what we're watching, a bit about it, while my baby cries it out?
You got it. So, by request, we are watching today Urusei Yatsura 2. Beautiful Dreamer. It's an anime, people, from 1984. I believe formative. It wasn't on my radar. He gave us a choice of 2 anime. Thank you for that, Michael. And this is the one that I recognized, and I hadn't even seen it. Neither of us. This is a blind walkthrough, so you're going to be blind mice like we are. Though we know a little bit about it. 2 things. One, it was a very highly popular Japanese TV show and manga, and then there were movies, counterpoint, franchise movies that came out along with it. This is the second one, and seen widely as a digression for the series, or like a bottle episode that is of note. It is argued that it inspired things, not necessarily inspired, but is on the same wavelength as things like Groundhog Day, Dark City, Inception. Take a lot from it. There's even a Doctor Who episode about a dream god that kind of feels a lot like this. OVA, I think is the term. I don't know. I'm a huge nerd. You found the right spot. Michael is not big anime. I've seen a lot of anime, and I hate myself.
I'd like to add some context, because what I am big on is research and being a dilettante. So great, by the way, skill for comedy writers is just know the basics, but to a slightly deeper level than casuals know.
Know the specific reference to make.
But you don't have to pour in the thousands of hours to get as good as someone who really knows that. Just know a little more than a casual person. So to add a little more context than that, it's directed by Oshii, is his last name. He did Ghost in the Shell, most notably, which I am familiar with. But this is one of his early films. And also, he notably directed the very first OVA ever, And OVA is just a loose term that is sort of a market, an anime market unique to that genre, which is like you can think of it as equivalent to straight to DVD, like a straight to DVD film. You know how there'll be Pokemon movies or Care Bear movies when I was growing up, the one where they fought the guy with the ice heart. That was like a movie that you got on VHS, but it wasn't on TV. That's kind of the vibe of these OVAs. But of course, Japan has a much more robust industry around manga have since time immemorial getting turned into anime and getting pumped out at a staggering level. Like they animate so much more by the square inch than we ever will. And,
especially Toho Studios, which was like their national
major player. Yeah.
Like just would churn out as much stories as possible, hire some of the greatest people, kind of like the MGMs, modeling themselves kind of, I think, after the MGMs and
kind of like the Yankees. And I mean that in the sense that when you see the main female character, you want to jerk off, right? Because that's another trademark of, no, I do think I want to ask this at the top, but first I want to finish giving context. I don't understand why Lum is so sexy, or why I guess he's a pervert. Anyway, but USA is super puritanical. I could totally be steeped in Japanese culture and go, I don't understand why you guys don't think being sexy is fun.
No
like a
sex.
Fun thing to add, right?
USA.
That's just as weird.
USA.
But regardless, by our standards, this does do that weird tonal thing anime will do where you're like, it's almost like a Scooby-Doo and the Gang fun romp with jokes, but the lady is explicitly in a very sexy bikini all the time.
Yeah.
Like a lot of anime does. But to wrap up context, I'll say, and correct me if I'm wrong, fans of the show that this is a movie from or the original manga. But what I gathered just from research, not as a fan, was that the tone is usually more comedic than this. This actually has jokes, and I would say banger jokes in it. But this is almost like, I compared it before we started rolling to a Buffy episode where they're like, we're going to try something.
Yeah.
So it was the director who, if you watch Ghost in the Shell, very notable for almost Star Trek TNG like philosophical rants and sequences. That's a signature of this director, and he works them into this. So it feels like this director is like, if I'm going to do this show, it's going to be forced to be shaped like me a little bit. So it's like a weird, and I could, again, unless I'm wrong, I think it's something of a departure for this series, or like more high concept than this series often does. Because and then I'll pass the mic over. My like understanding of the show that I came to is it's like Mork and Mindy, but actually like more of like the Bewitched dynamic, like a dude, a hapless dude who's unwittingly married to a magician of tremendous power,
a princess from the stars.
And in this movie's case, if they were accidentally trapped in a dark city situation,
which is fantastic. Like that, you're doing bullet points. I'm like, yep,
wow.
All right.
But this is a signature of the show. I think this is like the recurring gag, right? And this is common in anime too. The protagonist is insanely horny all the time, and she's always miffed and shocks him like Pikachu when he looks at other women. So there's just a recurring gag of like any Looney Tune, right? Don't look at that woman. Fuck you. Zap, zap, zap.
He's a hound dog.
And then there's this whole movie. Abe, please speak for a bit, but it's very unsettling at times. You're like, okay. And then those people do a dark city? That's weird.
I just love the idea of this director going. I imagine it was when like David Lynch was, like the hot ticket item, like Dune and stuff. I imagine this director, Mamoru Oshii.
I'm gonna make it weird,
was like, comes in, he's like got his cigarette lit, sitting in front of a bunch of suits at Toho, going, imagine you're a leaf in a dream. Who's Butterfly? It's just like, okay, man, you run with it. You run with those philosophical issues.
You realize this character is based on Shaggy. Like he's an homage to the character Shaggy from the Scooby Gang. You're like, yeah, I was going to have him falling through a veranda made of his mother's eyelids.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, and what's amazing is they're like, okay,
the
go for
bikini
it.
girl's still in it. Yeah.
Dude,
Cool.
we didn't even mention. So, Abe, I gotta ask you,
Yeah.
the fuck is up with 10? Because it's if all those things I said,
10's the child.
but plus if Samantha from Bewitched had a great Gazoo pet from the Flintstones.
No, it's Flintstones and Gazoo. It's like the Gazoo of Flintstones.
She has a little flying boy version of her in diapers, so they
I think like a cousin or something. I didn't really
name
look
just
into
named
it.
10, like the number 10, and he's like,
Little-
like a Pixar movie. I'm also here.
I'm playing with a pig who
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
eats dreams.
But
that's
then
a
I
spoiler.
can't stress enough. And they're like, and we're in a real identity situation where we don't know. We're all dismayed and we don't know
Who
what the
are
fuck
we?
is going on. Yeah. It's delightful.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Pretty weird. I love
yeah,
being
man.
exposed to just diversity of like, oh, this tone has never been exposed to me because it wouldn't get made in the machine that I exist within. Awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, and this has a lot to deal with time and space. I guess like this movie actually, if I'm gonna give credit to something I don't think that the fans of are like, that's why we care about this, but something that I was like, damn, like Beautiful Dreamer got hands, is like all of the landscapes that do like very specifically like everything is moving quickly, maybe to or from camera, and it's like a series of windows or lights or whatever in a tunnel, and it looks identical. And he's like, he's just showing us the visual of like time does not matter. There's no past or present. Or no past or future. There's only the present. And so when you like zoetrope it and make it frame by frame and do like animation, time stands still, and our vision of that makes it seem like it's in motion. It's an illusion. It is all an illusion. So he actually did like the theme of the thing that he or like the theme of the movie actually has a visual component, which isn't always true.
Oh,
and I was like,
noted,
damn.
Researching Oshii himself, highly respected director by directors we respect, like Spielberg's on record listing him as that guy really knows what he's doing. Other names that I was like, oh, that's really, wow, what praise from Caesar. Speaking of which, the evil demon in this is apparently responsible for Caesar's death. But
oh yeah, that's right.
And yeah. I guess we will synopsize
in
it. Oh yeah, and leaving the Garden of Eden as well, and Buddha's like Siddhartha's final temptation or whatever. I'm sorry if I'm conflating details of that story, but he says like Buddha's final temptation. I was also part of that. It's very what's the Rolling Stones song? Like, I'm the devil, I did all the
sympathy
stuff,
for the devil. Yeah.
Or I'm known by many names. I'm Feklar, I guard the Klingon hell, whatever. But what I wanted to say was I totally understand at a craft level. You said it right. Got hands. I don't know if I could pull off saying that phrase, but there are things that I'll unpack that I'm like, why this movie is or isn't my cup of tea or favorite movie ever, or for me, I think is more appropriate to say. But I totally get why this is a director lauded by other directors, because he really does use the visuals, especially composition and movement, like Abe said, meaningfully, almost in a way where, and I'm not throwing shade at maybe the whole series is this good and I'm just missing out. There's so many great things in the universe, too many for one lifetime. But I'm like, this seems like it should be way worse than this director is. It seems like he's really elevating this, unless I'm wrong and the whole show is known for always nailing it and having amazing direction. But like, he has great timing, angles, composition, and then I also want to praise something unique to comedy that I do feel we can speak to with authority because we've made hundreds of hours of comedy video. He actually has the edgy pacing sense of humor. Like I wrote, I can find it just by searching for Simpsons
like where
shit.
to cut?
Oh, yes, he knows a joke like Stephen Chow knows a joke, or like a Simpsons writer. Like, okay, there's a part where like how to deconstruct a trope and use anime properly in a way that like One Punch Man does so effectively all the time. There's a nurse who busts into an action sequence on a motorcycle with a streaky background, but it's because she has to race home in time because she accidentally gave a guy an overdose of laxatives. So I laughed out loud just at the way it's shot and cut, where she's like, God, I hope there's time. But she means for him to like not fill his room with shit.
Yeah.
And then what's funny is when she gets there, again, because it's a dream logic, and we'll unpack that a little more. It's not filled with shit. It's filled with like weird dust and mushrooms.
Mold.
And she ends up hurling him out a window by accident. Again, there are anime rules that you have to just accept that are like Looney Tunes that are different from our Looney Tunes rules. And then she goes, oops, because she didn't mean to throw him out the window. So they do another much shorter action sequence for her to ride her motorcycle from inside his apartment to where she just threw him. But she fails to catch him and he hits the ground. That is Simpsons Hans Moleman shit.
It's also, I cannot, the amount of time that they stretch to show you how cool the motorcycle stuff is.
And you're like, is this what this is about?
Makes it impossible for him to be in the air that long.
Right.
So there's the added joke of just like, is he going to drop? Like, and then when he does, you're like, that's way too long. It's a layered kind of, there's multiple reasons to laugh at it kind of sequence. You're right about the Stephen Chow reference where he's like, it's almost like there's a joke here coming at you. And then on the other side of you, there's another joke coming at you. You're like, whoa, there's too many jokes right at once.
Yeah, it's all, or even Airplane is, you know,
which I
that
love.
Reference becomes less and less tangible to people, I think, as time goes on.
Probably true. Yeah.
Should we say what? Well, you said Groundhog's Day. It's high school students, like the normal milieu seems to be high school students who get into sexy hijinks. But in this particular one, they are trapped by the demon of dreams into a Groundhog Day situation that is also a Dark City situation, meaning the day repeats every time you sleep, you wake up, it's the same morning, but also like Shell Beach, if you're aware of that mechanic. If you try to leave the city, you can't. It just loops back on itself.
And they try, and it's actually 13th floor is another thing.
Right.
You know, in terms of they drive to the edge
when they reveal. Yeah,
they drive to the edge of all of the city. You know, the area, and it stops. Like they can't get past there is no road, and so it's almost like, okay, at first you're like, all right, are they in something? Are they in a computer? Turns out they're in a dream. They even get a Harrier plane at one point to fly up.
One of the gang is Richie Rich coded. He's like, his family owns the town. So I imagine that's very handy on adventures. By the way, so reading about the mechanics of the manga itself, the overarching premise is benevolent aliens soft invaded Earth. They're the race that Lum is with the horns. They're like, we don't attack you, we do a competition. The competition is you have like X amount of time for one chosen human to touch her on the horns, but then she reveals she can fly at will, and so it's like a cheat, right? But he's finally able to do it by ripping her top off. She uncovers her horns to cover her breasts from the public view, and he touches her horns. Then they reveal that there's like a miscommunication through that means that she thinks they're married, but he doesn't want to be married to her. He wants to be married to this other girl, Shinobu, I think. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. But this girl who's also part of the Scooby Gang. So the dynamic is constantly there that like Lum is in love with him, but he doesn't want her to touch him. He wants to be with this brown-haired girl, but she's pissed at Lum, but Lum's pissed at her. And then they have a friend who's a Richie Rich guy whose family owns the town and can hook up a jet whenever he wants.
I love that guy because he carries his sword all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty fucking cool.
Well, he's the honorable, like, he's the straight man. They get in lots of odd couple scenes where he goes, Ataru, you always ruin all the shit I try to do for honor or responsible, you know.
Yeah,
etc.
Damn, you know a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You're fucking weeb, dude.
It's good stuff. It's a great. I have the manga behind me on the shelf, as you can see.
Oh yeah, I do see that. And what's that pillow?
But I also want to call out that ways in which it echoes. Of course, we just covered Millennium Actress and Beautiful Dreamer, and also we talked about Paprika. But Dolly does this too. it nails, and it's obviously trying to nail dream logic, where you're like, that does remind me of a dream, and way more than I think Western culture of the 80s for sure would do. Whether you guessed that it's all a dream or not, the movie pushes it way longer than I think like a Western screenwriter would, where you're like, what is going on? Or is this an indefinable, surreal movie? It's almost like a Lynch. It's like Mulholland Drive if you copped out at the end and go, all right, I will explain everything.
So, so a lot of the movies that we get from the fucking East, to be honest, like, because it's in Chinese culture, it's in Korean culture, Indian culture, like, especially in Japanese, because we've been inundated a lot recently.
Mhm.
I mean, throughout time, but like a lot of people are watching anime and stuff like that. Spirited Away came out, decades ago, and hasn't really stopped. All this stuff. The reason that they feel this way is that I know you're a structure nut, and so the first thing you kind of realize is they have this thing called Kisho Tenketsu, I believe. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, but it's an amalgam of 4 concepts because it's the 4-act play. And the reason why I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm used to 3-acting. When you're fed the 3-act throughout your life, you're raised on stories about cowboys and diehards. You usually have this anticipation of the special boy narrative, the hero journey, that is a series of replications so that you can go up against your foe, fail, go up against your foe again, and succeed. It feels nice. It feels
More
like
a
it's
roguelike.
yeah, it feels like it's you did something. You have personal accomplishment. Good for you. But the difference with the 4-act here is that it's like it's kind of just you have like the intro and development. That's like half of your movie. And if you notice in the midpoint of this movie, that's when the dream world takes hold, and no one else exists except the Scooby Gang, and they're in this desolate landscape, right? So the first 2 is introduction and like kind of developing the world and developing the characters. That's your 2 acts. Then the 3rd act is where the twist happens, where that's like the bulk of the plot, or at least it like unravels kind of your understanding of the first 2 acts. And then the last act is, I guess the protagonist's reflection on that. So it feels like nothing happens because it's supposed to be more a meditative like theme, or like look at, all right, this is the way people are. Maybe they butt up and have conflict. Maybe they don't, but it's not a conflict centric, like act structure is, I guess, what I'm saying. It can exist without it, which is why things like, like Tokyo Grandfathers or Godfathers is like, feels like that, or
Also,
even
it's
Spirited Away
so
feels like that.
Since I've seen it, I can't unsee it. It's actually infuriating to me that I now see it as weirdly small-minded that in our culture we don't challenge. I've heard people say this with absolute conviction my whole life. Well, you have to have conflict for a story. Well, then you can't there's nothing else you can do. You have to have a conflict. That's why you have to do this, because that generates conflict. I'm like,
Yeah.
I've never questioned that base assumption, but you don't have to have conflict to tell a story.
You don't have to. It just makes it more interesting and fun.
Yeah, but that's right. The
Like the
purpose
game.
of every story is not always to get max clicks or impart the most fun.
It's
so
true.
You're making a priori assumptions. I just find it
Mm-hmm.
liberating to be like, no one. The older I get, the more I admit. Again, it's not just an abdication of curiosity to say I don't know most things, or I'm humble in the face of not knowing. When I say I don't know something, it's with the satisfaction of saying, no, I've thoroughly explored that to the point that I'm confident saying I don't know and no one does. And if you claim you do know, I know you're full of shit. That's different than I don't know because I haven't looked into that. You know what I mean? Like
of course.
I don't
of
know.
course. I think this is just ad hoc, the way that different cultures diagnose what do I want to perceive? Also, look back into the plays of the time, how they did plays, how they did theater. How do we tell stories? And this is just the one that, different cultures, different have different names for different stuff, find the same idea, have completely unique ideas. The Western one is just as good as any other one, I would say. But I think that there is this effect that when you're brought up into it, at a certain point in your life, if you keep chasing the dragon of story, you go like, I'm done playing with this thing. I kind of really I don't like that this thing exists as much because it feels trite. It feels empty. But I think it might also just be because you've seen it so many times before. But I don't know.
But I definitely did in college, like my 10th story is a story just about kids playing, and it uses linked dream logic. And the whole exercise was I wanted to write a short story with no particular direction, like when you were a kid and played and didn't understand story structure.
Yeah.
And I got a bad grade because they were like, nothing happened in this.
It doesn't.
Like, a bunch of stuff happened in it. Children experience the full spectrum of like joy and human emotion engagement with the natural universe and their own internal landscape. And they were like, yeah, but not in a compelling order. Cause I'm like, that was the point, but that's okay.
Because they're trying
that's an interesting thing we take for granted that it has to do that.
Of course, our education system has always been designed to let's get this kid a job so he can be participant.
Yeah, just do the stupid
in society, so he can spend money on the Amazon.
You gotta spend money on the Amazon.
You gotta get those
rainforest. I love that. Or I don't love. Amazing to me that as we're melting the polar ice caps, absolutely, it is happening now. Like somewhere now, we're passing the point of millions of deaths. Point of no return every day.
Hey, the ozone layer's healed,
and we're like, fuck ice. It's just poetic that's what we're saying. And
not that ice.
No, I know, but it's just like, and similarly, the thing you just said. It's ironic if you think about it. But I forget what you said. So I'm going to move on and say, if it does helpfully provide some context, they are also appealing to Japanese folklore that people would know about, that their audience would know about. So I want to clue people in on that. Abe, I don't know if you knew this idea, but they keep referencing the turtle that takes you to the Dragon Palace. And this plot is loosely based on or referencing famous Japanese folklore. It's similar to our Rip Van Winkle story. So the loose brushstrokes that I could ascertain are a guy helps a turtle who I presume is on their back. I don't know what other kind of trouble turtles can get into.
The world turtle. You don't know about the world turtle?
No, I know the world turtle Atun. He's in Stephen King. He's in Discworld. But I'm saying this particular Japanese story is that he saves a turtle that he just thinks is a mundane turtle. And then the turtle's like, my gift for that is I'm actually the world turtle, come to the Dragon Palace. He goes to the Dragon Palace, does whatever, parties, has a vision of God's face, whatever symbolically that means. But when he returns to his hometown, even though it seemed like only a second, hundreds of years had passed. So it was basically just a very old, it's like us being like, what's one of the very first written stories in our culture that references the idea of time being malleable, right? But it seemed like only a second. It was actually 100 years. When did that story mechanic crop up? And I mention it because they reference it in very interesting ways. Abe, I think the one you were driving at is when they fly out into space, they see that the fake city they're in is held aloft in space by a turtle. But also the way they describe, it's like how we use the blue-red pill matrix analogy a lot. This movie uses an analogy that I find equally compelling, which is they were like, the demon, it turns out, but appearing in the guise of a taxi driver is like, in that old story of the guy who rescues the turtle and goes to the Dragon Palace and he comes back to the village and it's hundreds of years later. What if everyone rescued the turtle and everyone went to the Dragon Palace? When they came back, it's like if a tree falls in the woods, right? Would it be hundreds of years later or would only seconds have passed? Is the passage of time based on the observer effect, or does it exist separate of that? And this movie posits that time will cease to exist when no conscious life exists in the universe. Like it is a byproduct of consciousness and an illusion, which is the Buddhist stance on time.
I love that the stance is like time is a fiction because it was made for humans to cope. They had to cope with the fact that we only have the present.
Only you need it. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, that segues well to dreams, right? Where we can actually adjust time rules and stuff
Vonnegut
like that.
explores this. The Tralfamadorians say the same shit. Oh,
Yeah.
we see everything at once. How? Well, if you could see it, you'd be like, oh, I see. I was dumb before.
Talk about the interconnected kind of ideas from across the globe, as you just said. Like, what do you think? Because a lot of cultures have the world turtle, right? It's not just Japanese culture.
Totally.
Why do you think they choose turtles?
Well, I was going to
Why
ask
is it a
that,
turtle?
and I also do think, because Oshi is such a sci-fi buff, they do a really cool thing when the first time someone in the story, Anson Mark, is questioning, hey, does this feel weird to you? Don't you feel like we're in a Groundhog's Day or Parallels TNG warp situation?
Yeah.
What he actually says is, I feel like I'm in that story. And she goes, in a very reminiscent shot, she goes, well, did you rescue a turtle in the desert? As like a joke, referencing this folklore, but I'm pretty sure it's also a Blade Runner reference because they're testing whether reality is real with a turtle
Right.
question, and the shot is very reminiscent.
Right. The replicant.
But
yeah.
what do you get? I mean, that's one thing I got out of it. I've always wondered why it's such a popular.
I think
Discworld is also ultimately a turtle. Stephen King is like,
but I
it
mean,
should
I
be a
think that's
turtle. I don't know why.
even Discworld and Avatar and Pokemon, they're all quoting the actual belief system, which
is that from
coexists in
Japanese?
many generations.
Is that where does
And
it?
many
What culture
cultures.
originated it? Oh, multiple.
I mean, world turtle.
I don't want to force you into just spewing ignorance. Sorry, but I mean,
no, it's like a cosmic turtle. India, China.
Oh, okay, so
some indigenous North American
multiples.
folklore.
Interesting.
Southern Africa. Anyway,
well, they're slow and they live longer than us. That makes
live
them
long,
seem wise.
so that gives them a wise principle.
Yeah.
You know, like Kung Fu Panda style. So that there's a mythology there because it's ancient. They feel ancient. Also, I think the image of them flying through space is also, we also get that with like space whales and stuff. When you see spaces makes a lot more sense when we think of, and when humans think about it as the sea. You know, it's this boundless unknown, slowly swimming through it. So I think that because turtles do that naturally, that's their, you know, there's these slow.
Whereas I would think like, what actually, if I had to guess a land animal that would exist in space comfortably, it'd be Earthworm Jim reference. It'd be snake, right? Because you don't need no limbs in space.
Although their muscles is how it moves, right?
Well,
and there would be nothing to move on.
But I'm saying if I'm primitive man, because of course
Yes.
there's no tardigrade, I guess, but none of the animals live in space for particular reasons, so we understand. But yeah, this also does, like Snow Crash, one of my favorite books does this, but this director's known for this. Even in navigating scenes that are jokes, like there's a scene where the principal is going to be crushed by a tank from above, and the joke is, every second he talks longer, he could be crushed by the tank, and he's just going on and on and on. Yet, rather than it just being filler, right? I think this is why Mike Scorpio thinks this is a good movie, and I tend to agree. They fill it with truly relevant and interesting, timeless philosophical quotes about the nature of dreaming, perception, and reality. Goethe passed through agony to feel the great pleasure. The road to heaven is harder for the pious than the profane. Like hearkening to the idea that it's actually harder to live a life of discipline if you do believe in heaven. If you don't, you cannot worry about it. You don't even curb your enthusiasm, so to speak.
You know,
it almost had like a Punisher meets Archie kind of vibe to me, where I'm like, these are such good, weird elements together.
They're very weird.
Yeah.
In like ingredients in the soup. But speaking of the soup, you know how when it's so relatable, you know how when your dream ends and you wake up in a Nazi coffee shop that you and your friends made?
Dude, when I realized,
am I right?
We are, okay, so the best I could gather, I still don't fully understand this, but it is the day they're stuck in it is the day before a school festival where everyone makes floats and all kinds of like, we did this for a New Year's party once. Everyone brought tents and made a pub crawl out of different tents that they themed, right? So it seems to be that the kids are assigned and the different clubs, right, get to make like you want to recruit more people for your club next year. So this is a special festival day where all the freshmen show up or whatever, and you deck out a room to be a little like our satire paper was the MQ, right? So it'd be like an MQ jazz bar joke club to try and recruit freshmen to join the club.
Mhm.
But for reasons I do not understand, unless it's just the equivalent of how our stupid frats will do like a blackface party, theirs is Nazi themed. And they're like putting swastikas up, and they're like, this will be so fun and great when all the kids come to our
Get
coffee
here.
shop. No one ever says, I think it's edgy. No one. It seems like something Super Hans would get just to do.
Yeah. It feels like you're unsure of if it's counterculture
are they being
or it's culture.
Right? Are they doing it as like it's the 80s and we're Japanese? Nazis are a funny throwback to us.
I mean, we still make fun of Nazis, but not openly like this.
Well, it's
in
called
a
the Third
public
Reich. Anyway, the feeling I felt in my stomach when I realized we're in a time loop. And the main thing we're doing is painting swastikas on the wall. So we're going to do that ad nauseum.
It's definitely a Mike Scorpio moment when I first was, because it happens in like 3 minutes. I was like, oh, yeah. Michael
Scorpio.
No, it's clearly, I think, meant to, because it's a comedy. They're not trying to make you think so much. It's supposed to be applicable. I think
Joke in poor taste was my guess.
Where were they on?
Like dated joke.
Yeah. I don't know where they landed in the whole war thing.
Well, dude, like in the 90s, we would make Nazi jokes, and I made a 9/11 joke not too long ago on social media. So I understand the nature of time dilation, and I could believe that they thought that was a fine joke at that time. 1984
That was probably
Japan.
like wave one of it being funny, probably.
Yeah. What's that British sitcom where one of the guys is vaguely a neo-Nazi and that's part of the joke? And you're like, that's the joke. They're totally irrelevant. And then when they resurge, you're like, it's not funny right at the moment, but that's okay. I get it. It's okay. But yes, just to keep this in perspective, the happy ending when they go through literally a post-apocalypse of dreams that seems like they'll be trapped in a dream logic state forever and never escape.
He goes through the levels in
when they finally get out, the happy ending is, thank God we can finally open our fun Nazi-themed coffee shop. I thought it would never open. Come on, welcome in.
Welcome, children.
Zig Heil to our
Get in line to drink your coffee.
And be college kids cosplaying as Nazis.
It's wild.
I don't understand that aspect unless it's just a joke, which is how I'm going to
I think it's just edgy humor, to be honest, if gun in my head.
Then the other things I wanted to draw people's attention to, not because I truly believe there's nothing new under the sun, and I think wise creators embrace that. And this writer-director quotes the original folktale that inspired this film's plot. So again, no one's saying being fresh is the only win category, but this really strongly reminded me of the Harlan Ellison short story Cold Friend, published in 1973, 11 years prior, and made into an Outer Limits episode, which literally is about a super horny loser dude who is trapped alone in a controlled dream world where he can't die, but he can only go a few city blocks, and he's with this beautiful woman who's just constantly throwing herself at him. But in that case, it has a really misogynistic, shitty ending where the dude's like, what is your deal finally? And she's like, I'll reveal my true image. I'm actually that mousy girl with zits who was in homeroom class, and you're the only boy in my life that it's ever been nice to me. So when it turned out I was secretly God of all creation,
right,
I decided to just force you to be with me forever. Don't you love me? And he's like, no. And that's the end of the story.
Yep.
And she runs off crying, and he just lives in the post-apocalypse, like jerking off and eating pizza. And he's like, this is fun.
Yeah.
Is how that's
probably better for both of them, to be honest. It feels like a pretty toxic
Well, compare
arrangement.
that to, thank God my alien wife and me can, and our flying baby can make
the
this
harem
Nazi
dream
coffee shop. Oh, I also love such classic 1980s Japanese culture, but it's interesting how human cultures will be sexual but not sexual, but sexual but not sexual. They call this dude a filthy, filthy pervert, and I just always love a pervert-coded guy who has the most vanilla, like the nastiest thing he can dream up is fucking a bunch of identical white girls with the same body and just different hair colors. I'm like, yo, he's gonna be thinking of some wild stuff in there,
other
man.
shit.
It's not just gonna be, they're all in bikinis. We don't even see vagina. You know, there's gonna.
Well, I mean, they got to show it to us.
Right. So I'm just
the important part is that
we finally show
see
Ataru, who is the pervert. That's his main. Oh, in the manga.
Yeah.
I thought this was amazing.
Darling as well.
That's Darling, Ataru. He's only described as having two characteristics that are supernatural. One, his pervertedness. Two, he, like a magnet, his karma is that he attracts all the weirdest oddball characters from throughout time, history, and the galaxy. Isn't that a great premise for a manga? I think that's really funny. He's just destined to meet fucking weirdos. But yeah, the dirtiest dream he can muster is, what if I fucked everyone, including my wife, and they all
he's
look
such
like
an
my wife?
idiot. Like, he's like, to show my lover my love, I will dream of a harem with her as well. And it's not satisfying.
And that does
unless
foil
she's
the
there
demon,
as well.
because the
when she
demon's
clearly
like,
has said,
you're
like, I
true
don't
of heart, fuck.
Yeah. And then he's like, shucks. All right, well, I guess I'll save everyone by being a magical boy, because he's just able to see through the dream demons.
He's aware that he has plot armor is almost the vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's Squirrel Girl from Marvel, where it's just like you just unwrite the laws that we assume and peer through the wall. Just peer right through the set wall. And he literally does that.
One of the main jokes is Mandau, the responsible student, the Freddy with the ascot of the Scooby Gang, if you will, at great expense spends years scouring the hellscape that is the post-apocalyptic dream world and camping on his own and driving around in a refurbished tank. And then he comes up and explains to us, the audience, but also Ataru, I finally figured out what this movie's about. It's this and this and this, blah, 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 and it's a dream world. And he goes, yeah, I know. I knew that on day one. Well, what the fuck? And he's like, I thought Dream World's just as good as Real World. Who cares? That's like one of the main payoff jokes of the film.
Which is,
I knew this the whole time. Who gives a shit? Dreams are fun.
The ripcord on that, though, is that he's not talking to Ataru. He's talking to the demon. So that's the demon thinking like Ataru, as if to say, this is what Ataru would say, and this is how I'm going to get out of it.
But he's actually blowing up his own spot. You're right.
But he's blowing it. He's taking the grenade.
Yes, you're correct. You know, yes, you already.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny it, but I'm just not going to help you. And then, of course, the double reveal is Ataru's waiting in back because he was so horny that he couldn't wait. He's like the I think you should leave sketch, or the guy who's honking because he's so horny. That's how horny this kid is, because he just immediately, as he got the note from the other girl, he just went immediately. He didn't meet at midnight, like the note said. He just ran right over like a freak. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the savior of the universe.
To me,
That's
funniest
the
line
joke
in the movie, when they are questioning the plot mechanics of, but why is this all wrapping up, or what's going on? His line is, "Don't you understand yet? I do things without thinking of the consequences."
Yeah, that's
they're
my
like,
bit.
But if you do that, you'll also unravel or whatever. And he's like, okay, it's literally one of those South Park jokes where they're like, throw the plot away at the end, because the main character says to the bad guy, I don't care about that. It's one of those jokes. Yeah. After the bad guy does a really long, but I got to give him props also. This does something so inspirational to me, which is that they use the bad guy monologuing and he explains, and it all does map out. I am the god of dreams. I give people dreams. I'm sick of how the good dreams always end, and I'm always blamed for nightmares, but people forget the good dreams. I wanted to retire to a perfect dream that just looped forever. And when I met Lum, I realized she was pure of heart enough and humble enough that her dream is just, we all hang out and chill forever. And he was like, that's the dream I chose. So I trapped you all in it, but it's actually your dream.
It's perfect. Anyway. There's no conflict
Right. He literally wanted a never ending dream with no conflict, but basically it's very fairy tale-ish. They're like, no, we foil you, get back to work. You have to still give humans dreams. Life goes back
who would
to
want to
normal.
lose? Who would choose the stake?
Right. Um, but I just love that. So in every move, almost with very, very few exceptions, when you think back of why did the villain admit that, the thing we've always come to accept from storytelling is, well, I did want to know the answer to the mystery box. So who holds that information? The villain. So you got to just let him tell me, or he's under duress, or we make a joke about it, right? Mr. Bond, why did I tell you all this? Blah blah blah.
Right,
Because
right.
it's too late. Because it's blah blah blah. This is the best hand wave or like mechanical fix of that I've ever seen, which is that the whole trick of the movie has been that as the stuff that normally anime does that's a visual metaphor is literally true. A lot of jokes have banked off that. So like they'll do like a thought bubble, the simplest version would be a thought bubble pops up. He's thinking about a sandwich. He grabs the sandwich and eats it. Because we're in Inception, right? So that can happen. So while this dude is monologuing, he goes like, and then I met Lum and I met her in an aquarium. And you see little suggestive lines turn into fish. And you totally think of it as just artistic license, right? We're seeing a flashback. And I love the reveal that he's like,
aquarium.
and then you guys were in the aquarium, and then you were drowning in the water, and they're like, wait, this is real now? Wait, I thought you were cutting to a flashback to tell us about it. And he goes, I was, but now it's real, and you're really drowning in the aquarium.
They Ocean's 11 us.
So the villain used the act of monologuing to get out of being trapped. It
get
was
out
great.
of yeah.
So
because
rare
that actually
it has
just
a purpose.
Which is funny because I think that when you force all your plot basically into one act, more or less, all the maneuvers.
He does just go, let me now explain the movie.
Yeah, you kind of have to think of clever ways to be like, how do these things butt up against each other? And you got to think of like instantaneous cuts, meta kind of suggestions by the narrative and by the visuals in order to move on so quickly. So it's kind of out of necessity, but it is a really cool one because it functionally helps him get out of the problem, which is what a villain would want to do. You're absolutely right about that. This has a huge focus on, like, we've talked about time and like kind of the paralysis of, like dreams, but we haven't talked a lot about like this thing does, like Cowboy Bebop does this as well. And he even mentions, I think, the origin of it, which is a poem. It's like the butterfly thing. Like you think you're in reality or you're in a dream. Either way, whatever you think of it in the same way. So why not think that you're in a dream? It's more fun that way, is one of the posits of the movie, or one of the characters say that. And this really does, we have a lot in modern culture, especially a lot of literature and media discussing like, do we prefer dreams to reality? Like if all these wonderful instances, we can kind of like summon these, like this dream logic or whatever, we can create the grandest pleasures or like get amazing satisfaction from a dream. But dreams also allow the most terrifying horrors as well, which is kind of, obviously the dream demon is on the other side of that, where he's like, I'm tired of doing that shit. But in terms of like why we're writing this narrative, why we talk about dreams all the time, my question is like, do you think it's because we think that reality is boring, like humans, or is it that we don't like being lied to? Like, are dreams interesting to us because we can do whatever we feel like gods?
Well, interesting, I guess. So I haven't had many, if any, lucid dreams, but you have, so I don't know how it feels. But I don't agree whenever someone in one of these movies makes the point of, well, the dream is happening. It feels just as real as waking life. That's not true in my experience. I never feel like life is a dream. And when I'm in dreams, not fully consciously aware, but they are like they're made of lesser stuff than reality. I haven't actually been in a dream that made me confused and think, no, that was just as real as this. Or like, what if this existence is just a guy's dream? I'd be very shocked if I die and find out existence was some other guy's dream. I just don't buy it. It doesn't resonate with me.
It doesn't resonate
yeah,
with
it's
you.
not a useful analogy, and
Yeah.
it's not been a thing in my life. That might be one of the reasons. So yeah, I don't muse on dreams. But I'm fascinated by human imagination. And I love that dreams are a shorthand for
Kinda
how
unlock
hard
it.
can you flex your imagination and just
Yeah.
make me interested.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Like
night
I love
terrors,
dream logic, but I don't care about dreams per se.
I think for a lot of people, I think a lot of people are probably like you. I think for a lot of people too, like if you ever had a night terror, it's when you wake up, because you recollect these
Wake up.
memories when you wake up. It's like
Wake
because
up.
you are asleep. You're part of your body is like not functioning. So you recollect it all, and then you have hindsight, and you're like, well, that was obviously a dream. But like your body is fooled when you're in a night terror. Like if then there's a goblin
I've heard
right
that from
above
Willard.
you because your eyes are open and
Yeah,
your
yeah.
mom's like,
It
wake up,
does
wake
feel
up.
real, yeah.
That your body treats it the same fight or flight instinct as if the goblin were in the
Pumping
room.
the same endocrine.
Right. And that's
same stuff.
terrifying.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's that's the kind of great barrier there, is that like because we're little tiny machines that are flawed, we're super interested in the artifacts of the flaws. And I think dreams are one of those artifacts. So we're going to be like, we need to investigate what the fuck this shit is.
I also
And
think in this
culturally-
film, Mujaki might be specifically dreams meaning ambitions. And the only reason I say that is he says specifically that I'm the dream that turned a shy art student into Hitler and Emperor Nero into evil guy who sacked Rome, and I'm the reason Brutus killed Caesar. Those things are all specifically ambition for power. Are all, solve for X. He's saying he's power.
But he also says, I didn't do any of that stuff. They were easily corruptible.
You're right. They accuse him of that, and he goes, "No,
I didn't
it's the
do
other way
Hitler.
around. Dreams are a shape blown by the shape of your mindscape. So, like, those people were that way. That's just how I shaped out. Actually, I do love the poetry of the concept of, but it's really depressing because you could never live up to it. We let our dreams down, not the other way around. Like that dream you had when you were 10 years old is disappointed in you that you're not an astronaut is a very sad thought to me.
Yeah. Like disappointed child.
Like,
Because now you're like, nah, I got this
Mr.
fucker.
Snowman, and you still didn't do it.
I would take that 8-year-old child and beat the
Be
shit
like,
out
life
of
is
him.
hard, you piece of shit.
Don't you judge me,
You judge
little me.
yeah.
Piece
Also,
of
I
shit.
like that the movie goes total Blazing Saddles at the end, because once they've revealed that it's a dream, and all he has to do is like hit himself on the head with a coconut, he can wake up through an arbitrary number of dream levels before he really wakes up, right? So they just start doing genre parodies. Like he wakes up and he's in Frankenstein, and he wakes up and he's in the future, and he wakes up and he's in, they just do whatever they want.
They just do whatever they want.
That's
that
a
was
fun
really
sequence,
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because he goes from one moment to the next. Like in the one where he's in like the spaceship, he's like sees that Lum is dead in the cryopod right next to him and goes, no, like one of those, and he starts running.
But then he just breaks out of the wall and it's a set.
And he's fine. Like it's as if
and
it's
they do
just
the
like,
joke even where the demon's like, oh no, he's broken out of the set. I haven't built the next dream yet. We'll have to hurry up with fucking Cowboy World or whatever.
Which is just like serious.
Yeah.
That's just
a joke.
straight up Looney Tunes.
Meta joke, yeah.
Right. But like just the idea that there's a switch where he's in the dream. He does it in the Frankenstein one too, where he's like acting like Frankenstein and then he just takes off his head.
Well, it's the
Or, like, part of his head.
phaseality of like, I think it phases in and out of you're fooled, you're not fooled, you question. Like one thing they don't explain, which I would love explained in more movies like this, and it rarely is like, why is, what's his name, the only guy in Dark City who suddenly, I think in that case they do hint at something, but you know what I mean. Why is Mark Onsen Mark? Why does Worf and Parallels start to go, I can
Why is
tell
he
we're
the
in
one?
a time loop. Fucking
he's the
why
first
them?
one to
Or
go.
like they never really do that, but yeah.
I guess it's like personality type.
He's
or
like,
maybe
aren't you
it's
having
like,
deja vu really hard? It's like, why is he versus anyone else?
I think that's
able
probably
to
the
see
movie
through the
addressing
magic.
how people do dream differently, and they have different
Yeah.
responses to the dream state. Some don't dream at all or can't remember their dreams. Yeah. It's all stuff when it comes down to it.
I just
This
wanted
is
to
my
shout out a couple
grand
of
theory.
pieces of art I've encountered. If you like this sort of art ethos, which I would describe as tons of ideas, less focus on detail, like I wouldn't call the animation good in terms of effort poured into every cell. It's more like Sergio Aragones, or my favorite example is Steve Purcell, the guy who does the Sam and Max comics. It seems like the director was like, I just want to express as much information per square inch as possible. You get it? This image in this corner, this guy is doing this to a giant shrimp costume. As long as you can tell that's what's happening, it can just be drawn okay. It's fine.
The end of this movie has a post-credit scene.
Oh, I didn't know that. What is it?
It's just a shot of the high school and the bell tower dings. Goes
Great.
bong,
Cool.
bong. Hell yeah, 1984. Got those Marvel fuckers beat. Eat your heart out.
Oh, and
bell
then
tower
shout out
return
to
in Avengers Doomsday.
Noah Burns' unproduced screenplay, which will never be produced, but is the finest screenplay I've ever read, called South of the Border. Where it's one of these, but it turns out it's the guy's brain shutting down as he dies in a car accident. But the fake imaginary post-apocalypse they live in for a while, his best friend character starts to believe you have to eat colloidal silver all the time, so his skin turns blue, and then he starts getting sucked into a black hole. So he sees a multi-image refracted, and he becomes the image of Vishnu, the multi-armed blue god. Man, I love that script. Did you ever read Noah's script, South of the Border?
Yep.
A fucking good movie.
I love when gravity just gives up.
Yeah, Gravity gives up part
Or
way. It's an
dude's
unshootable
just-
movie unless he became super rich and famous, which is
not
not going to
unshootable.
happen. But
Not unshootable at all.
no, I meant unshootable for Noah Byrne at the place in life that he's in.
Place in life. You know, he's probably going to make it.
What,
'cause
AI?
yeah,
because he's
because
okay
he loves
with
AI.
Gen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which we shame him when he, just so you know, we go, no, don't do it, Noah. But he does it.
It's an ongoing text dialogue I have with my friend.
Noah's retired from the public eye. He doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
What else? Okay. Can I take Mike Scorpio to task and then we'll get out of here?
Sure.
Sure. So I asked permission to do this and Abe said it was okay to be mean. Mike, hey, listen up, bud. Hey, Mike Scorpio. This goes for everyone, or it's not even chastising. It's just the way it is. And I'm just going to let people know. I do got to say, feel like this movie is clearly you jumping into an ongoing discussion and exploration about like, oh, you talked Millennium Actress and Perfect Blue. You got to fill in your whole understanding of Japanese anime directors, the timescape of like, there's a long history of them playing with reality and dreams and perception and identity. And you should keep filling that in. So that's what we call like termitic exploration, which I super love, which is like, now that we found this thing that's interesting, let's do a deep dive.
Like a termite.
But there's another kind called elephantic.
White elephant.
White elephant.
Is what you're talking
which is,
about.
kind of like I was just saying, describing about the animation style of this film. Give me the elevator pitch? Oh, good idea. Give me 10 more. They're all different. Good idea. Cool, let's do that one. Let's block it out. That kind of thinking. High concept is another way to say it. And we're running a business. And so there's a counterbalance, kind of like the McRib and pork prices. We have found that hammering down, this is not anti-anime. This is anti-doubling down on what you get excited that we're doing something and you go like, we should do that for 6 months. Let's just make the guys cover anime about dreams for 6 months. That would be fun, but our patronage will go down more than the pick the flick amount of money. And at that point, we'll close that tier. So think of it like a pinball game and do things strategically. If you keep picking super obscure stuff that impresses us with your film knowledge, like in real life, we would be friends and be impressed by you. but it doesn't drive clicks, you'll eventually, the pinball machine will say tilt, and we will shut down the Pick the Flick tier for
Damn.
another 6 months. So, you know, if you feel like hopping in and picking like Aliens 3 or something, feel free.
Damn,
Thanks to
dude.
Mike Scorpio for this interesting film.
Swaim hates anime.
Deep
He
in
was
my
telling me right
appreciation of the
before
same
this.
stuff we already talked about the last 2 episodes. Yeah.
He was just like, I just don't like it.
Well,
I
also,
don't-
you're less likely to get a guest if you're like, hey, you know, Daniel O'Brien, want to watch Urusei Yatsura 2 Beautiful Dreamer and talk about it with us? The answer's no. The answer's no.
The answer is no.
But he'll talk about
but maybe we
Breakfast
need
Club?
cooler friends.
Maybe we need
maybe we-
better, more interesting, weebier friends. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, like, I'm with Mike here on
Thanks for
this
your
one.
support.
But which Mike?
Yeah,
is up to you.
Oh, Abe's really coming down strong on Mike's side on this one.